Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, January, just the first quarter of any year is always the most exciting time in fitness from a marketing perspective. And I know that I spent some time last week talking about the value of an offensive marketing strategy, not in terms of offending people and all of this and that. No, you can either have an offensive marketing strategy or a defensive marketing strategy. In other words, you can be proactive or you can be reactive. And unfortunately, most folks spend more time in being reactive when it comes to their own marketing efforts. When a new entrant is coming to the market or there's just a competitive landscape has changed, then all of a sudden, many fitness facilities, actually most fitness facilities, are on defense. Now they're playing defense. What can we do to keep our members? What can we do to keep people from leaving? As opposed to going on offense from the day you open, actually even pre-launch, before you open your first location in a particular market, if you happen to be a franchisee, going on offense and saying, how can I have the strongest facility in terms of equipment, in terms of customer service, control what you can control. I know that's a saying. I used to hate it to hear that saying when I was in the corporate world, and it was everybody and their mother said it. Control what you can control, control what you can control. And now years later, I look back and I realize just how true that is and what great wisdom that is. Control what you can control. Don't be average. Talked last time about, of course, the Shreveport Bossier City clubs and just the whole concept of just Louisiana. It's very common in Louisiana, just this term called lagniappe, which means a little extra, a little more. So go above and beyond. Just don't be average. People aren't lining up to join average clubs. People are looking, and that's why we see so much growth in the fitness industry, in the boutique type of facilities, your higher end type of facilities, your Title Boxing Club, your Orange Theory Fitness, your I Love Kickboxing, which ironically is actually about to open a new location here in Novi. So, that's why folks are flocking to these particular clubs and these franchises because they want something novel, they want something new, they want a unique and different experience. And so go on offense. All right, be competitive from the outset. Don't be reacting and just, oh no, what are we going to do? We've got all these people leaving. Bam, got to do something different now. No, you need to have that mindset going in. So just be competitive. Determine, make a decision in 2019 that this isn't going to be like any other year. And so it can be different. It can be different, but it's going to take some different thinking. All right, I had a sales director years ago used to always say, and I'm connected to him on LinkedIn, so I've actually gone back and reminded him of this saying. He used to always say, next level thinking always achieves success. Next level thinking always achieves success. I'm actually going to have to send him a note so he can watch this episode where I'm giving him a shout out, but just think about it, next level thinking. You can be average or you can be above average. You can just have the current level thinking or you can have next level thinking. And so just determine that 2019 is going to be a different year, regardless of what your role is in the fitness industry. Perhaps you're a trainer and you helped 5 people lose 50 pounds or more last year, and you made a decision that you're going to double that or triple that. Whatever the case may be, just don't settle for being average or just maintaining the status quo. You can do better than that, all right? We can always do better than that. We should all be striving to grow, learn, and just determined to be better people and better professionals than we were last year. This should be our goal each and every year. Not our resolution, but our goals. And one thing that I've certainly seen here, and I'm sure we've all seen it, we've seen some national campaigns. It's just such an exciting time in the fitness industry, and just around the New Year's time period where they're trying to catch many fitness facilities are trying to garner market share from the New Year's resolution crowd and get new member signups. And so we've seen just national campaigns. This is actually the first time I've seen this. The national campaign, at least in recent years, Anytime Fitness, January 1st through the 11th, they had this massive national campaign going on, TV ads, some email marketing. I received some emails from them, but they were doing something, offering a free session with a personal trainer. And so they really were lighting the year up, and with more than 4,000 locations, that's a threat. We're going to talk a little bit about the SWOT analysis. Yes, I'm bringing it back, but that is a threat. You got Anytime with a boatload of locations who's now starting to embark upon national campaigns and really rallying their franchisees, as well as obviously the corporate locations, around common marketing themes and driving membership. So very, very exciting. Silver sneakers, I'm not sure if you've seen those ads on TV as well, and then they've got some print marketing as well in various magazines, and so that's also exciting. We've got some online marketing efforts as well, so targeting that senior business. When you look back and you look at the demographics and the census data, and you just see just how the baby boomer generation is really growing. It's just growing exponentially in this country, actually in many other countries around the world. So Silver Sneakers and those insurers are certainly trying to tap into that business, as they've got many partnerships. If I remember correctly, more than 15,000 gyms participate in the Silver Sneakers program. So got some great exciting marketing going on. So it's just never a dull moment. I was actually online, and this one made me smile. One of our local health systems actually is world renowned. When I worked in medical sales years ago, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. Many of your thought leaders regarding various subspecialties of medicine and healthcare are certainly very familiar with Henry Ford Health System. And so they've actually got their own online ad that says, don't have the time or money to join a gym? How to outfit your home with safe and affordable exercise equipment. So they have their own little ad. I thought it was so cute. So they're telling people, hey, don't even worry about joining the gym, whatever. We've got some tips for you to set up your own home gym. So again, for Metro Detroit facilities, this particular ad right here can be a threat, because mentally people can see this and think, well, I don't want to spend money on a gym, or it's too cold outside, or whatever the reasons that people come up with. Hey, home gym may work for me. So that is a potential person who sees this ad, that may have been considering a gym membership or fitness facility membership, and then all of a sudden they've changed their minds and decided to go with an at-home gym. And that certainly, folks in that particular category is continuing to rise as well, or folks are just saying, forget it, I just want to do my own thing at home. And so that's something to always take note of. And lastly here, I always like to have a little show and tell from time to time on my episodes. And so we've got the spinal column, and I've referenced this actually a couple of times here in the last several months. I know the last time I talked about the overdose, the opioid overdose that happened at Lifetime Fitness in Commerce Township. And so there's 4 or 5 different suburbs here that actually nestled close to me. Novi isn't considered, but we do, the couple of the suburbs that bump up to Novi do get this particular newspaper, so I always pick one up when I'm in Kroger in Commerce Township. And so they've actually got, months ago, I talked to you all about, there's going to be a new development, a new multi-million-dollar huge development coming to Commerce Township here, probably in the next 18 to 24 months. And so there's no specific dates on it, but anyway, they've got approval. So it says commercial and housing plan gets a nod to move forward. And so they've got the drawings here. And anytime, these type of things happen where there's growth and there's, these commercial facilities and these commercial complexes and things are being sketched out and discussed, and whatever the case may be, there tends to be some blowback. It just depends on who the blowback. It could be the residents saying we don't want it here, it's going to increase traffic, whatever this and that. And just to digress here quickly, same thing happened in Novi. There's a new complex coming to Novi, which is actually going to include Planet Fitness. I want to say something Texas Roadhouse, cinema, and a couple of other things, but it was very, very controversial. It was approved, but there was a lot of controversy behind that. And so there's some controversy behind this, with the Novi situation. It's a lot of residents saying, and it's true, our traffic is just atrocious, particularly on Novi Road and all of that, but won't get into that. But this time, the blowback was coming from, a hotel owner who was saying, we've already got 2 hotels in this particular area. And it's funny, I pass by them on the way to Planet Fitness in Commerce Township in the mornings when I go. And so that particular franchisee is upset about this, because there's going to be 1 or 2 new hotels that are going to be coming to this area. So they quoted him. It was just really interesting reading that, because again, why? Competition. So now again, you've got two hotels there. Now you've got potentially 1 or 2, or definitely 1 or 2 more coming. Then bam, all of a sudden there's a competitive situation. And so you got restaurants, you got shopping, that's all been laid out. And so when we think about this from a competitive analysis standpoint, and that's why I said when you're reading the newspaper, when you're driving around, talked about this months ago, you've got to have a mindset of just a competitive mindset to understand what's going on. How is my market changing? What are the market dynamics here? Are other gyms opening? Are you going to have a massive shopping center opening up? You've got baby boomers. You've got more nursing care and those type of assisted living facilities moving into your area. Whatever, you have a new college opening up or a new university, perhaps a branch opening up in town. Whatever the case may be, you got to pay attention and understand how that is going to impact your market. That is just part of just having a competitive mindset and understanding the competitive landscape, which can change on a dime. All right, obviously this one is well planned. It had to, go before the city council and all of these people, economic development directors, and all these people had their hand in this process. But this right here is no surprise. And who's set to benefit from this development? Coming on board 1824. Who knows when it's going to be done? Months. Who knows when it's going to be done? Who stands to benefit? And I know that because, again, I know the market well, because I drive around, I study, I read, I learn, I do things like that. So I know I can have this information just top of mind and ready to go. Who stands most to benefit from this? Right off the bat, Lifetime Fitness and the new Powerhouse Gym that opened up. And technically it's West Bloomfield, but it's on the border of West Bloomfield, and across the street is Commerce Township. So that new location is certainly opened up in the spring of 2018, is certainly a threat to any facilities in the Commerce area as well as West Bloomfield. But they stand to gain most from this because just the proximity to where this new development is going to be. And so we always got to pay attention. Think about what is happening in our market, what's happening. And I've talked many times about the Shreveport Bossier City locations of Planet Fitness and just gyms in general in that area, and how the Planet Fitness has just really come in and just decimated the competition. Because why? Things that, there's a number, I believe 11, there may be more than that now. There are 11 locations at my last count of Anytime Fitness in that area, and it doesn't matter. Now, with all due respect, you pass by there, you look through the window at various times of day, various locations, and there's just nobody in there. There's one or two. There's other locations. My dad was a member of Doonigan's, with all due respect, Ron Doonigan's Fitness. And that gym is just doomed. I could go on and on. My former gym there in the area, with all due respect, had a wonderful time there as a member. Bel Air Fitness, but that's what offensive, going on offense as far as marketing is concerned. That's exactly what happens. You don't have to go in, you don't have to badmouth your competition, you don't have to do all of this quote unquote trifling stuff to get members. You just go in, go in on offense with an offensive marketing strategy to say, we're going to come in strong, we're going to make things happen in this market. And that's exactly what happens. All right, because a lot of people, they'll go on defense, and all of a sudden our people are leaving to go to X location or Y location. And then that's when you've got people that are bad mouthing, particularly perhaps if it's a new entrant that's coming to the market or whatever the case may be. You don't have to do anything like that. You can just do things the right way, do things in an honorable manner with integrity, but just have an offensive, just be proactive. It may just be easier to understand, but just be proactive. Always strive to be the best that you can be, and that way you're not defensively reacting to a new entrant or what's happening in the market or what could potentially be happening in the market. All right, but I feel like I just keep emphasizing this point, but just people feel like they can be average. Even in a franchise model, people feel like they can just be average, and people are just going to flock, and people are just going to stay, and that's what happens. Then a new entrant comes in, and all of a sudden, bam, they've got a boatload of people leaving, and then all of a sudden your market share and your market potential for that market is all of a sudden drastically increased. Why? Because somebody may have been coasting for 15 years in a market, without any competition. All right, just unhindered, unimpeded. And then all of a sudden a major entrant comes in, and bam, and that happens to, quite frankly, a lot of facilities, general fitness facilities, when it comes to Planet Fitness, because they're just not ready. They're all of a sudden going on defense, and if you're defensively reacting, in my opinion, and in the overwhelming majority of cases, it's too late. It's too late. When you got a boatload of people leaving, it's just tough. All right, and we can just let me step outside the fitness realm here, feeling led. Let me just step outside the fitness realm here and just talk about everyday life from a relational standpoint. Ooh. Even I didn't plan to go here. All right, go on offense in terms of your relationships. All right, treat your significant other right. Don't give them a reason. Don't even, and I won't even kind of put blame in that situation. I don't mean to speak that type of dynamic into the situation, but just love your significant other. Treat your significant other right. Respect and affirm him or her. All right, and that way, when perhaps the cute secretary starts, or perhaps the handsome boss comes in, the handsome new boss comes in, all of a sudden you won't be threatened. You won't be threatened, and then you won't be on defense. Then all of a sudden, well, why are you doing this? Or why are you working late? And where are you going? And all of that. Okay, that's all fear-based, defensive, reactive behavior. All right, folks that go on offense, been married 50, 60, 70 years, been going on offense all that time, they know. All right, my significant other, my spouse, whatever they are a treasure, and I'm going to treat them as such. All right, can even take this into the realm of leadership. All right, of just working, working with, having people work for you, report to you. Bam. All right, treat people right, value people, affirm people. And that way you're not going on defense when you've got more turnover in your facility than IHOP on a high hop pancake griddle on a Saturday morning. All right, there's something missing there. And I think just in life, we got to just have an offensive-minded life philosophy, all right, to be the best we can, to treat people right, to do the absolute, just treat people and value people, respect people. Don't take people for granted, right? Don't take your members for granted, potential members for granted. And so that's a whole direction that I had no plan certainly of going into, but I just really feel strongly about this concept. All right, just do things the right way. Treat people right, all right? You don't ever have to worry about losing them, all right? At least within your control. If they move or something happens like that, they get a job transfer and your location is all of a sudden not close anymore, whatever, okay? Those are uncontrollables, but control what you can control. So very, very, very exciting time of year. And the actual theme of this particular episode, which I'm going to get to it, I promise here, was actually the twin gifts of objectivity and exposure. Objectivity and exposure. All right, you've heard me talk about these concepts here. The gift of exposure, I'm actually going to kick off an episode on Non-Fitness Friday, a new series here on the gift of exposure here in the coming week. But I want to spend a little time on a Fitness Friday talking about this concept, but also pairing it with objectivity. To recognize, okay, objectivity is certainly, and this is some leadership lessons, but you can be a leader in your home as a parent, all right, a leader in the workplace, in a fitness facility, whatever the case may be, a trainer, a group fitness instructor. Those are certainly leadership roles. Obviously, a franchisee, any type of manager or director in a corporate type of fitness facility, whatever the case may be, but objectivity is key. And we as humans have a natural bent towards favoritism, towards showing bias, because, we're all human, okay? We're all human. And this is something that actually, when I think about objectivity, when I think about my own journey, my own personal growth journey, folks, this is an area I myself have grown a lot in this area, because I too am human. I too, just have that natural bent to just want to say, well, you know what, this and that, and this is my favorite person, and this and this and that. But I have to work extremely hard. And actually, what has actually helped me in this area is doing these episodes, not just on Fitness Friday, but just my Rachelle's Posi-TIPS in general. And just having this role has helped me with objectivity, because I realized that nobody, even from a fitness standpoint, from my own membership standpoint, nobody wants to hear me talk about my gym every week. I mean, this is something just as a professional speaker, these are just some things I knew all along, but even that certainly carries over to something like this. All right, no one wants to hear some narcissist or some self-absorbed person, self-centered person talk about themselves and their lives and their own facility. Everything that gets old, that gets boring, right? How many of you would still tune in, if I talked about it? I love it. I'm happy, very happy at my gym. But no one wants to hear that all the time, all right? And I know that, and I have to respect that, just as a speaker. And so I've got to be objective. I mean, I've always, and that's part of the reason why I visit different gyms, always done this. Go to different gyms, go to different types of facilities, keeping my eye open for what's out there, what's new, what's happening, what are some of the market changes and dynamics, because that just helps to keep me grounded, quite frankly. It helps me to remain objective, because I can look at a situation and say, personally, and it's almost 25 years here, in May of 2019, it'll be 25 years from my gym fitness journey. Never once, ever, have I participated in a group fitness class, just ever. I mean, I have no motivation for that. Most people, they love it, and just that group dynamic helps to really just energize people, and it gets them going, it keeps them motivated, and that's a wonderful thing. If you do that, keep it up. That's fantastic. You got to know yourself. You got to be authentic. Don't listen to Rachelle here and say, well, Rachelle doesn't do it, then I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. No, don't do that. Do what works for you, because guess what? Rachelle does what works for Rachelle. Bottom line. And I know that me just being in a group situation like that, where I'm depending on other people and being at an instructor's mercy like that, that's just not me. I have always done my own thing. That's just part of me, my personality and who I am. I value autonomy greatly. I'm very independent. I want to do my own thing. I want to be left alone. I don't want to be bothered. That is my time. So that's just how I operate. But that's why I'm so happy, because I know myself. All right. And so you got to just know what works for you and what doesn't. And so I can objectively, and I have, I've observed Orange Theory fitness classes. All right. I've gone to YMCAs and observed their group fitness class. All right. Bel Air Fitness, I talked about that in Bossier City, Louisiana. I was a member there. While I was at Powerhouse, so I had a separate membership. Bossier City, Louisiana, Bel Air Fitness, they do a tremendous job in their group fitness classes. I mean, there would be barely anybody on the main gym floor, but they would have those group fitness classes would be full. They had a very, very strong training class, class of training instructors, just a very dynamic group of instructors, most of which had degrees in fitness, were very passionate about fitness. So that was a strength. So I would just watch that dynamic too. I'd take a break from my own workout and just watch that to just see that, man, there's barely anybody on the gym floor. But that's because the classes are all just packed. You know, just that dynamic and understanding how people are motivated and how that works for them. So I can understand that. It doesn't work for me, but I have to be objective enough to know. All right, group fitness, you know, it's always one of the top fitness trends. It's group fitness classes. All right, there's research that shows for fitness facilities, if you've got group fitness classes, your member retention is going to be higher, your member loyalty is going to be higher. You can Google it and bring up some articles and some research that's been done on that. Don't have time to get into that today, but it requires objectivity. It requires objectivity. All right, perhaps you got even a spouse on a personal level. You got a spouse who prefers to work out alone, and you don't understand kind of why they don't want you to tag along during their workout. And this happens, folks. To be quite honest, I mean, that's how some people's workouts just get sabotaged. And I've seen it, and I see it at gyms, and I've seen it over and over and over and over again. Gyms where I actually have a membership where I'm going there regularly, and I can see the dynamic. You know, someone who's a lone ranger, and then all of a sudden their significant other starts tagging along, and then all of a sudden, and I mentally will say to myself sometimes, I wonder how long this is going to last, because you can read the person's body language. They want to be by themselves. They're used to being by themselves, and particularly if you're dealing with somebody that could be a jealous spouse or significant other. So there's that whole dynamic there. And then I've actually known people personally who've given up on their workouts because of that whole jealousy dynamic. I dealt with that in 1994 when I first started. You know, with the accusation of, oh, you know, you're talking to other men, you're doing this and that. I mean, just that could have derailed me. And I look back at that and I just thought to myself, nope, I'm going to the gym by myself, and I'm going to continue to go to this Barksdale Air Force Base fitness facility by myself. But it's things like that. But you got to understand, you know, what drives people. What works for you may not work for someone else. When I'm sitting here talking about best practices of different fitness facilities, you got to be realistic and say, can this work for me? Do I even have a marketing? I mean, if you've got $1,500 marketing budget for the year, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you are where you are. All right, don't try to compete with the Kansas, Louisiana, Sutherland group, you know, where I talk about just how potent their marketing is and how they own that market. They launched in 2014. I could confidently say they own that market in 2017, and here we are in 2019, and they're continuing to grow in that market. All right, don't listen to all the different things I talk about that they're doing if you've only got a marketing budget for the year of $1,500, okay? Because it's not fair to you. But you got to objectively look at the situation, objectively look and see what people are doing and what you could be doing, or what are some best practices and things that you can pick up. A lot of some of the things that they're doing, you know, aren't costing them. You know, some of the in-club stuff and showing things on different screens other than, you know, buying the actual TVs themselves. But, you know, the messaging and things like, I mean, there's things that you can do that are low cost that, you know, pick up the book on guerrilla marketing. There's several different ones, but guerrilla marketing is a concept where if you're on a low budget, you have no budget, low budget, different things that you can do to really aid your marketing efforts, and it won't cost you a lot of money. But objectivity is key. Can you look, and I mentioned the SWOT analysis, I bring this concept back each and every year. Here we go again. Here it is again. All right, first time in 2019, the SWOT analysis. All right, very, 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 very important to understanding your competitive landscape. All right, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. Opportunities and threats are external. Can you objectively evaluate, and actually, if I were to ask you for your particular facility, what are the strengths and weaknesses? Could you objectively give those to me? All right, if you can't do that, if you feel like you don't have a clue, or if you're sensitive to criticism and you want to just think you don't have any weaknesses at all, all right, and you just only got strengths, look at your reviews, look at your online reviews, look at your member surveys, talk to your members. They'll give you a clue real quick of what your weaknesses are. All right, and that's why this whole concept going, of thinking about, again, offensive marketing strategy and recognizing, what can you do to mitigate online complaints? Particularly word of mouth is always bad, but particularly online, because it's there and it's going to stay there and it's going to remain there unless the person changes their review or removes their review, whatever the case may be. Those online reviews and comments are enduring. All right, and so look at those and just get a very balanced view of where you stand. All right, and it's tough to be objective sometimes because you work day and night and you feel like you're working your tail off, and people are still going to complain. Yes, negativity bias, I talked about that a few episodes ago. Yes, people are just inherently gravitate towards the negative. Now, I'm not like that. That's where it's always easier for me to be positive and just give feedback unsolicited that is very positive in nature and giving people kudos, but that's just part of my personality. All right. And so I have very, very short tolerance for negative people and just negativity in general. But I am balanced. I am objective. I am fair. All right. So don't think that I'm always just giving everyone great glowing reviews. There are times when the reviews aren't so glowing. All right. Because it's got to be balanced. But are you objectively able to assess where you stand? If you can't, make this a priority in 2019 to understand, because your competitors can come after you in this particular area. So you got to know and externally your opportunities and your threats. One particular threat, and I'll certainly mention this, I've talked about here, Crunch Fitness launching in the Metro Detroit area in October 2017 with their first location in Westland, Michigan, and it's very interesting in terms of the rollout of different locations, the franchise development in this particular area. How Westland, ironically, was not the original intention planned location. And I know the fourth location was intentioned to be Clinton Township, and you heard me mention that on various episodes based on what the sales messaging was around. We have different locations and we're growing, and these are our next locations. That location, that fourth location, is actually, and I absolutely agree with this change, has gone from Clinton Township, and now the fourth location is actually opened in Taylor, Michigan. Yes, Taylor, Michigan. And actually the reason why I agree with that strategy is because Clinton Township, if you just think about your own area, if you're in a large market, you think geographically in terms of the separation of different clubs, where you've got three locations that are relatively, not real close together, but at least, there's a fair level of closeness compared to what would have been a fourth location in Clinton Township. I know most of you are not familiar with this area, but if you're thinking about, if I were to mentally think about the separation of, Farmington Hills to where Clinton Township would have been, folks, you're talking anywhere from about, about 30 to 40 miles each way, and I'm just guesstimating that. Years ago, Clinton Township was in my sales territory, and I used to drive here, from where I live in Novi to that part of the territory. So that's each way. All right. And so they've got a location there in Farmington Hills, the third location in Farmington Hills, and now the fourth location in Taylor. And they've got other locations in Dearborn. Dearborn and Taylor are fairly close. Westland was actually fairly close to the other three. Farmington Hills a little far north, but certainly it's poised them to take advantage of Novi as well as Farmington Hills from a potential marketing standpoint, potential memberships, and gaining market growth. But that is an area. That's a situation where, again, you talk about from a marketing strategy standpoint, what your competitors are doing, what's happening, and they are, just from a marketing standpoint. They pioneered. Remember, I've talked about this before, but they pioneered the concept of no judgment. So they pioneered the no judgments philosophy, but they also pioneered promotional in terms of they have great sales promotional depth. And I've mentioned this where, the owner was raffling off a Harley a few months ago for those people that joined. At the time it was Farmington Hills and Dearborn locations. So now, because they have that decentralized promotions coming out of corporate, and so the franchisee is able to handle their own marketing as opposed to some of their competitors where it's very, very corporate driven promotions. I can honestly say, and I can very objectively say, and sales promotion was actually, from a marketing standpoint, one of my areas of expertise, and certainly an area I worked in at General Mills, and certainly something we studied quite a bit at Northwestern in graduate school. How sales promotion and those type of things drive business and marketing strategy and get people to take immediate action. I can very objectively say it would take a lot for anyone to beat Crunch at the promotions game. They are, and that's partly because it's decentralized. They're free to do what they want, when they want, as often as they want. And I would argue from a promotion standpoint, I see Adam, the owner of the local gyms, employing a hybrid strategy, offensive as well as defensive. Offensive meaning this particular, in the month of January, they had a weekend, free spray tans. Come on in, we're going to give you free spray tans. All right, and so that's an example of promotional strategy to drive people in, drive incremental foot traffic into the facility. In addition to members, other people can hear about it. Oh, they're giving free spray tans. Let me go in. All right, and so most other facilities don't have the ability to spray tan. They just have tanning beds, and so this, of course, is a unique competitive advantage that they are leveraging. All right, and so that's a situation where that is offensive, making things happen, but also defensive. Very, very, they are on Planet Fitness like white on rice. Planet Fitness a few months ago had the 3-day flash sale. Adam was right there with his very own 3-day flash sale. So when you have the ability, when you have decentralized promotions like that, you are free to act. You are free to, and in some cases from a defensive standpoint, react. All right, and so this will be true more so for your private facilities, your privately owned, where you can do what you want, and you have that freedom, and so to speak, to have an offensive strategy as well as defensive in terms of being able to quickly react to what's happening in your market. So, but you got to know where you stand. You got to know what the opportunities are. You got to know where the threats stand in your market. So objectivity is key, and I want to close out with the final gift here of exposure. Where have you been? What have you seen? What do you know, and what is it based on? All right, if all you know is your own franchise, or if all you know is your own gym, or your own perhaps series of gyms or facilities, number of facilities, you may have 5, I don't know. If that's all you know, then you're not getting out enough. You are not getting out enough. It is so important for you to be able to understand the fitness industry, understand your market. But all of this happens with exposure, particularly these two with exposure. Okay, how much do you know about your competition? This is a big one right here that I'm about to say. How many of their facilities have you been into? Okay, are you just speaking from what you read, or are you speaking from what you know? And I can tell you from just personal experience, Crunch Fitness here in Metro Detroit, they've been in Planet Fitness gyms. They know. They're selling against that franchise and capable. I'm a proud member, happy member of Planet Fitness. Go Planet Fitness. Bam. But remember, I'm objective. All right. I'm standing out on the sidelines in a consulting role, observing and making observations and making points based on what I see and observe. All right. And so, do you know about your competition? Do you know what they're doing? Have you been in their facilities? Have you even looked at their websites? Do you know? In that way you can understand. All right, when you got a boatload of people leaving and going to Planet Fitness, and you're just like, I don't understand why all of our people are leaving. Okay, this happens just to countless facilities on a daily basis. Okay, do you understand why? Have you been to the website? Do you understand their pricing model? Do you understand the tremendous amount of value that they offer at that $10 price point and at that now $21.99 price point? But those of us who were grandfathered into the $19.99 price point. Do you understand that? Do you understand the value of offering just, now more than what? They've got to be well over 1,700 facilities for that, in terms of being able to go to all of these different facilities for that $21.99 when you're with that Black Card membership. Do you understand the value of that? To understand, I'm a poster child for that. Just tremendous value that is there for Black Card members to go to all of these different facilities in all these different states and in a few countries. All right, you got to understand that, because if just a Powerhouse, yes, remember Powerhouse for 5 years, that was great, that was wonderful, but now you can see the dynamic, and I have great understanding of the dynamic of why your Anytime Fitness, your Planet Fitness, your Crunch Fitness have certainly outshadowed, outgrown, assert the market dominance that gyms such as 24-hour Powerhouse Gym used to have back in the day. All right, and there's a reason for that. All right, because you're now competing with a Powerhouse Gym and I'm sure they still do this, where if you go and visit a gym, they would give you 50% off the visitor's fee. So they charge you a fee, and even for me, if I were to go to different Powerhouse gyms in Metro Detroit, I had to pay a fee. All right, and so can you understand the value of being able to go to different facilities for free, that it's already included in your membership, and why people would be gravitating towards that, particularly people that travel and have families in other states? But you got to understand that there's some people that I'm sure sitting around in various types of fitness facilities don't understand why. People are leaving or people are just flocking to their gyms. You got to understand the good and the bad, the pros and the cons. Why are people doing what they do? All right, and so just objectivity is required to be able to do that, to objectively assess your market, your own strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that exist, but also your exposure. If you haven't been anywhere, if you haven't talked to anyone in any other fitness facilities or clubs, or you don't know any other owners, or you don't know any other fitness facility leaders, or even group fitness instructors, you got to understand group fitness, all right? Peloton, Peloton has been killing it. Their national campaign, the Peloton bike, all right? That is a threat for fitness facilities in general, all right? Because people can buy a bike, and it's group fitness right there on your screen, and it's just, subscription model. So that is a whole unique concept that is innovative, that is also disrupting the fitness industry. And they've got the marketing prowess behind it to really drive that. So you got to understand, if you got somebody that comes in that cancels your membership that says, oh, I bought a Peloton bike. Do you understand what are the dynamics that may drive a person to make that decision? Or where your facility in general may have some weaknesses against that? Or perhaps you've got some strengths where you can actually, communicate those strengths and convince the person into staying. All right, that's all I'm saying. But you got to be knowledgeable. You got to know your stuff. You got to know your stuff. Don't settle for being average, folks. But you have what it takes to be successful, but it's going to take the twin gifts of objectivity and exposure. And I promise you, this is something, an area, yes, the exposure thing, that's just me. I like variety. I'm adventurous. I'm always in different facilities and just things in life. I'm always exploring new things. That's just part of who I am. But the objectivity piece has required a lot of work on my part. And I take what I do very seriously. And that's why I don't come here. I don't promote. I don't just sit here and talk about one gym or one franchise or anything else or anything. Never done that. Never will. Not in this chapter of my fitness journey, and certainly not in the next chapter of my fitness journey. That's just something I take very seriously, this objectivity piece. And you got to be able to do so to understand why perhaps even you have a lot of high turnover. Why are people leaving? Do you understand what are some of the weaknesses of your particular facility? Why, or even your model, your employee, your compensation model. There's a lot of different reasons why people leave. But you got to be objective enough and expose yourself enough to say, we're losing people to Lifetime Fitness. I wonder why that is. Well, I can tell you why that is. A lot of folks in Lifetime, those Lifetime Fitness facilities have benefits. All right, it's a very, very tough culture. You got to understand, there's never a perfect situation. There's going to be a lot of sales pressure on you. All right, in fact, we talk about just changes in the industry. Lifetime Fitness in the fourth quarter of 2018, you see on a national level, all of their clubs are not 24 hours anymore. Many of them are 4 to 12. They've got various hours, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And this is nationally. Some are still open 24 hours, but actually just utilize Detroit as an example. But I looked at other cities. I looked at, Boca Raton, Florida. I looked at Dallas, Austin, Colorado, Minneapolis. I looked at other states to see what exactly is this. Is this just a Metro Detroit thing or what's going on? No, but the word from corporate, the official corporate word or corporate line is that, hey, we realized that utilization in the overnight hours was not what it once was, and so we made these changes. Yes, there's been blowback. Yes, there's been people mad, but Anytime Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, there's a reason why those two corporate gyms are at the top of your fitness rankings from Club Industry Magazine. Number 1, 2018 was, do you remember? LA Fitness. Number 2, Lifetime Fitness. But they don't play. Those are very profit-driven organizations. So if they recognize that the cost-benefit analysis, doing that, looking at, it's not profitable, then bam, they're making the changes right away. They don't mess around. And I think there's lessons, and you've heard me mention this on several episodes ago, that the whole 24-hour model, many people are shifting away from that, including one of the very, very big dogs, Lifetime. All right, many of the LA fitness clubs are already doing that, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and I've actually even seen that within the Planet Fitness franchise. Brighton, Michigan Club, 24/5. Totally understand that. You got to do what's best for your business. Chicago clubs, some of the, in the Chicago proper, not your suburban clubs, but many of them 24/5. I understand that. Just from a cost-benefit standpoint, it takes a lot to justify keeping those facilities open 24/7. And so for those that are, then you need to celebrate that. You need to appreciate it, because it may not be forever. And I know I'm certainly grateful for my overnight cruise and just in all the different Planet Fitness locations, the overnight cruise, because that's when I'm working out. Just have great respect and admiration for those folks, because again, they're sacrificing their sleep time and overnight time to give other people a chance to work out. So greatly appreciate my own gym, Autumn, and the overnight crew just do a fantastic job. But the same is true for your facility. If you've got overnight folks, don't take those folks for granted, folks, because you don't know how long it's going to last. All right, so that's an example. So you've got one of the major players. All of a sudden now, you've got some of their members that are mad. That could be an opportunity if you're open 24 hours. All right, they don't have thousands of locations across the country, but those are very. It takes a lot of market research when they're opening up a facility. You've got to have particularly the income demographic that can afford that, depending on the type of club that they have, whether it's a Lifetime Fitness, a regular athletic club, or one of their signature clubs. You got to look at anywhere from, I've seen 69 up to 159 a month. You've got to have a certain demographic that can afford that. So be objective, expose yourself, learn as much as you can, and I promise you 2019 will be the best year you've ever had in fitness. Thanks so much for your time. Make it a wonderfully fit day.